Welcome to the Social Work Rants podcast, providing a platform for social workers to share their stories. The podcast covers a wide range of topics, including mental health, social justice, policy, and the day-to-day realities of the profession. This season, season 9, will be focusing on the mental and emotional aspects of money for people of color. Hope you enjoy. Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to a special episode of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bash Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. Continue to follow the podcast. However, you follow the podcast, whether it be Instagram at the Social Work Rants podcast, that is all one word, on Twitter at Social Work Rants, and Facebook, aka Meta, type in the Social Work Rants podcast, hit that like button. Of course, YouTube, on the YouTube channel, hit that red subscribe button, type in the Social Work Rants podcast. The subscribers are slowly growing, so shout out to everybody on the YouTube side. Shout out to everybody that takes the time out to listen to the podcast. So shout out to everybody all over the world. So this special episode talking about Project 2025 and how it relates to social work and us social workers. Um, if you don't know what Project 2025 is, well, before we get into that, that's this special episode's topic. Obviously, with the election here in the United States happening on Tuesday. Shout out to everybody that's gone out to vote, do early voting already. I did my early voting on Friday. First time ever doing early voting. It was a quick process and got out to vote. This episode is brought to you by Bass Moreno Consulting, providing financial education and counseling for people of color in the sandwich generation. If you caring for kids and caring for an older adult, elderly family member, whether it be your mom, dad, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, uh, anybody in your family who's an older adult simultaneously, that's you. You're in the member of the sandwich generation. So go to bassmorenoconsulting.com. I'm offering a free 25-minute consultation on how your mental health is affecting your finances. So definitely check out the website. Support small business. If you know anybody who meets that criteria, send them my way, please. That being said, so obviously the election is happening. If you've been following for the podcast for a while, you know I mentioned if you're a licensed social worker and you're voting for Agent Orange, you should have your license revoked. So I stand by that statement. And if you follow the podcast page, I was on, I went to a live podcast show of one of my favorite podcasts and definitely shouted you guys out. And I actually called you guys out, a better terminology to use. So, yeah, so I stand by that statement. So, Project 2025, if you don't know what that is, basically is a manifesto for the Conservative Party. A bunch of people who used to work for Agent Orange the first time he became president wrote bits and pieces of this book. It is 900 pages. I did not read all 900 pages, but I did read some of this and already have heard of where some of these items are in the book that I want to talk about, and there's specifics I wanted to touch on. There's way more stuff that will affect us as social workers where we work with marginalized communities, marginalized people, and many of our clients, at least some of our clients, probably are living worse off than they were before COVID. So, a lot of these things that are in this book will be detrimental to not only us Black and Brown folks who serve we'll try to help our clients, but our clients ourselves, and in turn, will make our job super hard. And our jobs are, especially in the nonprofits sector of social work and our school social work, will make our jobs a whole hell of a lot harder. So, and we don't need any government entity. We don't need any sort of entity making our jobs harder. And if you're watching the video on YouTube, you notice I'm wearing my Puerto Rico hat, myself being New York Rican, as we like to call it, New Yorker, Puerto Rican from the Bronx. My parents are from the island, so if you haven't heard, Agent Orange had a rally in my favorite place in all of New York City, Madison Square Garden, and basically had a comedian who is not funny, and making some despicable remarks about the island of Puerto Rico. So, in solidarity, I still got most of my family or live on the island, and we went through Hurricane Maria. We went through earthquakes in 2020. Uh, Went through a whole change in terms of company, uh, electrical company was a disaster, and there's always blackouts on the island. A privately owned company on top of that. So Puerto Rico has been going through a lot, and the last thing we need is for anybody to say that the island is floating garbage or whatever the heck this guy mentioned. So I never heard of the guy before, and it doesn't matter. So in solidarity, and yes, I wore this hat when I went to go vote. I had my small Puerto Rican flag with me when I went to go vote. Even though I had to put it in my pocket, or I put it in my pocket because I didn't want to hear no mess. But definitely, I had no issue with anybody saying anything. Me wearing my hat. So when I went to go vote, so Project 25, Project 2025. So basically, it's a manifesto for the and the title of the book is Mandate for Leadership: The Conservative Promise. So basically, it's gearing up, and a lot of this stuff has already been put into place for years and years already. Hence, the Supreme Court being, you know, conservative, mostly conservative judges. This stuff has already been put into place for a long time. So basically, this is for the next uh, conservative president, uh, whoever that is, and if it's Agent Orange winning again. So basically, even though he's has said he had nothing to do with Project 2025, but yet most of the people that used to work for him wrote stuff in his book. So uh, I wouldn't listen to anything that man got to say. So on, on page 4, is literally page 4, and I'm going to read it verbatim. The next conservative president must make the institutions of America, civil society, hard targets for the woke culture warriors, deleting terms such as sexual orientation, gender identity, diversity, equality, and inclusion, gender equality, abortion, reproductive health, reproductive rights. Hence why uh, all these states are you can't have an abortion in all these states. This is what I mean. Why they already started doing some of the stuff that they're doing. That's in this 900-page uh, disaster of a book, and it's only going to get worse. So if you obviously a lot of these schools, especially down south, took away a lot of DEI stuff. A lot of companies, as as much as everybody was all DEI, especially after George Floyd's murder, are now like have no budget for DEI, and are laying people off who work in DEI stuff. So especially in the tech space and in other higher country companies. Um, so it's all this stuff has already been happening. And like I said, the reproductive health, reproductive rights, women got to go to different states where it's still legal to have abortions. All this stuff is happening and is affecting our clients, people we work with, maybe ourselves. So all this is already happening. They want to end the Department of Education. Mind you, the Department of Education deals with our student loans and our student loan forgiveness. I actually, breaking news, I finally got the letter from Mohelia. My loans are officially discharged, but I will follow up with them because they're sending me letters about some other stuff. But I got the official letter today as of this recording. So I'm super excited about that. But that being said, for people who are close to the 120 or they're waiting for their discharge, what is going to happen with our loans? Um, is public student loan forgiveness going to end? Like all that it entails. There's already like whitewashing our black and brown history in textbooks and burning books and banning books and all this other stuff. So is that more than likely there's going to be a continuation by ending the Department of Board of Education and Agent Orange, or and I don't like saying his name, so I say Agent Orange. Um, he already said he wants to end the Department of Education. So as much as the Department of Education has been, lack of a better word, a shit show, even with under Biden, I don't feel like they've done enough these last 4 years. Last 4 years, excuse me. But ending it completely would be just, I can't even imagine. So, an overhaul of the Department of Justice, including the FBI. Obviously, terrorism plays a huge part. All this is just craziness. So, there's been a lot of stuff already with the FBI these last 4 years, Trump firing the FBI director, and that FBI director basically kind of caused one of the reasons Hillary Clinton is not president because of the FBI director at the time. So um, obviously, abortion being less accessible, it already is less accessible currently, but potentially a national born boycott or ban on abortion would be absolutely horrendous, and that's on the table. Climate policy cutbacks, it shouldn't be 80 degrees in for Halloween. It was 80 degrees in Delaware on Halloween. And all that has to do with climate change and it's being too warm. Most of the Northeast is in a drought watch or drought warning. Um, so yeah, climate change is real, and of course we have a former president who's seeking to be president again. Doesn't believe in climate change, and climate change is a hoax, and all this other stuff. So all that affects us and affects our clients' health, and people dealing with asthma and other ailments, and it shouldn't be this hot. Like we need snowstorms during winter, like to balance out potential droughts for the spring and things of that nature. And of course, ending the Department of Homeland Security, that would be disastrous because we already still dealing with terrorism from time to time and just terrorist threats, and the Department of Homeland Security in America was born after the 9/11 attacks. So there was no Department of Homeland Security before that. So obviously that's important. So more specific for us in social work and our clients and that we deal with, um, they want to make it more difficult for people to qualify for food stamps. If you don't remember, back in 2018, Agent Orange cut food stamps. So imagine me, and I was working for a nonprofit and working with severely mentally ill clients and telling them that who are psychotic individuals, some of them, that their food stamps were were cut, and they try to go buy food or you know go grocery shopping, and then there's food stamps being cut. So um, and people are not getting a lot of money already as it is for food stamps, especially with inflation happening. Uh, the 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 calculations how they calculate food stamps, at least in Delaware and in my experience in New York, is makes doesn't make any sense at all. But so cutting it even more than it already is, it would just be people are struggling to go buy food or go get food, going to food pantries and food banks, and even food banks are struggling to keep food and together to even give out to people. Eliminate free preschool. Childcare is expensive, you know, and so to eliminate free preschool will just, people, it's going to force people not be able to work, which leads to they don't work, they can't pay for their housing, which ends up, it's just a series of events lead to homelessness and being shelters. So, um, if you don't have family supports to watch your kids, so free preschool is important. Childcare is a major issue in this country. So it's important that that doesn't get cut. It's important that none of this happens. That's the whole point of this episode. That we need to go out to vote and make sure that this manifesto doesn't continue and take over the government, and this becomes basically the law of the land. Um, if it does, then we may have to start looking for other places in the world to live, because this will be a complete disaster. Uh, Reduction of free school lunches. A lot of kids, especially urban areas, unfortunately, the only places that they able to get to eat is at school. So if you reduce school lunches, then how are they going to eat? Where are they going to get their food? Uh, for some kids, schools like their safety net, because their home life is a complete mess. So we can't have this. Major cuts to Medicaid. Uh, there's They want to end Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, which reminds me that if you need health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, the you can sign up now. It started Friday. Friday was the first. November 1st was the first day to sign up for uh, Marketplace Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. However, you comfortable saying it, it all means the same thing. So, um, Agent Orange wants to completely cut Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, wants to do major cuts to Medicaid. A lot of doctors don't even like taking Medicaid as it is. A lot of uh, social workers who do private practice don't like taking Medicaid because the reimbursements are not good at all. So to even completely do major cuts to Medicaid would be even more of the disservice to our Black and Brown folks, our marginalized communities, our older adults, people, our disabled folks who live independently. Just all these things are on the table that can, and this is only part of it. Like I think I only got up to like page 30. Like I wasn't trying to read all 900 pages anyway, but at least I was curious to see the book because I heard so much about it, and there was a free download of it, so I downloaded it and started going through it a little bit, and just the craziness that I was reading was just is a scary time, and it's okay to feel anxious and worried. I want to acknowledge those feelings. Um, and it's okay to feel like that, but that's where you got to go out, vote, and it's not just voting for whoever is president. Is also there's a lot of Senate seats and House of Representatives seats out there. There's governor races. So all those races are just as important as who's in the Oval Office, and even more important because we live in these states, and sometimes the state and federal they bump heads. So is just get out the vote. As I mentioned earlier, ending student debt relief. So whatever relief that we're currently getting or in the process of trying to get, um, somehow, some way that might end under a second Agent Orange presidency under this manifesto. And as I mentioned, deprioritize fighting climate change. So obviously, we already have Agent Orange who doesn't believe in climate change. So even though it's like I said, it's 80 degrees, Halloween is like hot. It literally got four seasons happening during the same day. It'd be cold in the morning, then it'll warm up, spring like temperatures, and then by the afternoon is hot and like it goes back down to freezing at night. So all that cannot be normal for our or healthy for our environments, for our trees, for the birds that usually hibernate during the winter. I'm sure the birds be like, "What the heck do we do? Do we leave? Do we stay?" Like it's a lot that's happening. So get out the vote, go vote. Wait till Tuesday. Then show up and show out. And make your voice heard. Like I said, there's other uh, local races. The local races are just as important as the obviously the federal race. Um, and yeah, it's at the end of the day, we still gonna be out here. We still gonna be podcasting and causing good trouble. And we just gotta take care of each other. We gotta take care of our own family. Everybody has like their own needs. So it's a interesting time that we live in society in the world currently. So just go make the best of it. So uh, that's it. I mean, that's it for me. Uh, until next time, make sure you check out the previous episodes. This is like the at least third podcast episode in like 10 days. So pumping out these episodes left and right. So I appreciate all the love support and talk soon.